What's up, family? How are you? I am in front of Sprouts, waiting for their 7 o'clock opening time frame. Thankfully, I had a patient that canceled this morning, so I have some time to come out and get some groceries. It's definitely a weird new norm. I'm kind of waiting for some of my patients at 7 a.m. to cancel just so I can come get groceries. But at the same time, you know what? God's been good. And I spoke with my boss yesterday and talking about just what this new norm is going to look like, where we're all headed, and what it's going to feel like going forward for the rest of 2020 and what our business strategy is going to be. And like I said, man, it's such a weird conversation to have, right? Earlier this month, or earlier this year, in like January or February, we had a director's retreat. And the conversations at that time were just so much different. It was about employee engagement. It was about how do we get our group to buy into what we're doing. And then now it's how do we stay profitable? How do we make sure we're treating and caring for our community while staying safe, but in a way that helps us to stay profitable, right? It's just such a strange time. Today is May 5th, so Cinco de Mayo. Not sure what that's gonna look like today. There were some reports, I think, from the OC and from various places that certain restaurants and things are open. I don't know, man. I mean, I'm all for trying to get back to life as a whole, as I've been talking about getting back to work, but I think we just have to be cautious, not overly fearful, a thing that we've talked about over the past month, but definitely still cautious because, as I've been telling people, shutting down is easy. Opening back up, I think that's the hard part, right? Understanding what our precautions are and things along those lines. And it's interesting as we come into today's passage from the second half of Deuteronomy 13, it talks about potential whole communities falling under this idolatry or these false practices of worshiping other idols and gods. And how when that happens, we have to eliminate the entire group. And I mean, as scary as it sounds, it's I think if you read the adults version, there's this idea of these small centers of idol worship could be somewhat of a cancer to the rest of the group. And if it's not removed, if it's not taken out, it can definitely spread. And I think when we talk about having to remove these entire groups or this entire segment, it's kind of a scary process. But what God does is he follows that up with a blessing. He follows that up with a promise of a blessing saying, hey, if you turn towards me, if you turn away from these false practices and know that I am here and you're willing to consecrate yourself so that I am number one in your life, I will bless you accordingly. And I think in the same way, if we look at our own lives, we have to cut out some of these habits or some of these things that maybe plague us down or hold us down in order so we can come before God holy again. Now, I don't know what that is in your life. I don't know what habits or maybe what segments of your life you may have to just sort of say goodbye to, but think about that for today. Think about, as like I was talking to my boss, as we're going in, we have to reevaluate everything that we do. And as we do so, there are potentially new and great things to be found. But it may also mean we have to cut out really important parts of our lives or really important parts of our business that we used to thrive on. So a little bit of my spiel this morning. I'm about to head into Sprouts. I love you all. I will see you tomorrow.